them's doing my first shottie at stand-up comedy, like, right? So I'm standing up, that's half a bottle, is it? See if I can do some comedy. It's more than I paid their fiver, so I'll concentrate on yous, okay? Is that off? Right. Like abdy. So if you don't ken who I am, I don't ken who you're doing here, obviously see the other folk, but if you don't ken who I am, I'm Aiberdeen Mannie for Instagram, right? So basically, to explain a bit more about it, I'm a Mannie for Aiberdeen who's got an Instagram account, right? Of some repute, right? So I started off, I was trying to do, it was 3 years I've been doing it now, right? So I started off trying to be an influencer, right? So I heard from my brother's loon, my nephew, that can give up money and that and get endorsements and that. I didn't have a job at the time, so right, a lot of youngins are on it. So one day, I'm Mannie for Aiberdeen can get on there and can spec out my supermarket clients and all that, Ken. So I tried that out, gave up on that pretty quickly. Like I think it's not really for me. So anyway, abdy kind of got on that see. So I went up for, started doing about 10 pals that can. They shared it with folk, and then after the first week, there was 1,000 followers, right? Second week, 2,000 followers. It went up and up and up and up until I had 13,000 followers, right? And then it just stopped. It just plateaued. That's what it's been for the past 2.5 years. Like that's the amount of folk that's interested in Aiberdeen Mannie at only one time, right? So, and I think initially, Ken, it was a bit of a joke. Like folk were like sharing it because they're like, check someone's dad's got themselves on Instagram. And honestly, I think that was the thing. And then, so I just pretended that I was joking. I'm like, Ken, I'm just being a laugh. Like. So then I just did it for a laugh, and then I accidentally actually became an influencer. Would you say? Oh, some description. And my face is now on in 21. So apparently it would be 13,000 folk. I'm a micro influencer, right? That's a term. I'd rather be net influencer at all than a micro anything, to be honest with you. But that's what I am. So 13,000 folk. If you think about, I'm not really good with numbers, right? So thinking about 13,000 folk is, it's about the average attendance of Aiberdeen versus Livingston, right? So the Dons versus Livy, it's about 13,000 every season, home fixture. That was last Saturday, right? So I'm sitting in, I'm thinking there, 13,000. This is the amount of followers I've got. And I just imagine myself walking down the pitch at the centre circle. Talking all the acclaim. I didn't do it. Imagine it. Anyway, I get on my stats, so it plateaued at 13,000. I get my stat. I don't know if you plebs get on your Instagrams, but I get all this content creator toolbox and whatever, right? I think it is. Anyway, I get my stats, and it can be a bit disheartening because you see folk unfollowing you, right? So some weeks the unfollows are more than the follows, and that can get you doing a bit. But it's a bit like the Dons and that, because it's not the same 13,000 folk it was there on Saturdays was last season at the same fixture, okay? Some folk are like, get scudded by Motherwell, I'm not gone. Some folk are like, I'm not doing anything else. I suppose I'll get him back. And so I'm basically, in terms of popularity, I'm the Aiberdeen versus Livingston Instagram, right? So that just gives you a bit of background on that. So I'm asked for some interesting interactions with folk. The fans, the Mannie fannies, so particularly youngins, right? The youngins, schooly age kind of teenagers, they were right into Aiberdeen Mannie, right? So I used to get a lot of DMs, right? Your direct messages, that is. I had about 3 months worth to catch up on when I worked out how to do it, like. But you get DMs, and I'm learning all this stuff. Folk are calling me a goat. Well, this is no going wheel at all, man. When I'll go, when I'll go. I'm not trying to be an influencer anymore, it's just a joke. But that means greatest of our time, right? A legend and that. Come meet us in Seaton Park at break time. to the point where I actually hit to do an online safety video. And a young man saying like, Ken, I couldn't be on it with you. You can't be doing that. So anyway, I realised at that time back in the day, and still to this day actually, it was a badge of honour for the youngies if Aiberdeen Mannie followed them back, right? So all the DMs, getting all the DMs, Aiberdeen Mannie, you're a legend, you're a goat, Ken, fits in the fridge and all this. can you drop us a cheeky follow? So it was a cheeky, it was never just a follow, a cheeky follow, right? So I'm brother Loon Kenny's got a Don's badge in his profile and that. I stand free Loon, like, I'm not meeting up with him, I'm just saying stand free. But anyway, so Ken, that sort of interaction. Some folks sent me the red fits in the fridge videos, these young teenage loons. My Instagram, Aiberdeen Mannie here, fits in the fridge again. A lot of them were posher than me and Mrs. were. Martin stuff and that. What else was there? There was this one loon, right? He sends me a video, he's standing in the playground, right? My Instagram, Aiberdeen Mannie here. Pawns his camera around, there's 30 bairns all standing there. Turns around and goes, give me a cockney! Like, this is ace, like. So anyway, all these cheeky follows, so what that meant for me, when you're getting your my cheeky follows, once I'm scrolling through Instagram, all I'm really seeing is the folk that have asked me for a cheeky follow, which is mainly Ken, teenies and that, so I've seen more BMX videos than I ever thought I'd see in my whole life, right? And another thing, that kind of only teenage coins and loons and that, there's this picture they do, right? So the flash is on, like this. Half their face is obscured, that's the one, that's it, she kens it, she kens young folk. So that's pretty much how I'm getting BMX videos, funny flash photos, Don's Gossip. There's about 35 different loons doing Don's Gossip Instagram accounts that follow and cheeky follows. So that's how I'm getting back in the day, kind of 3 years ago. So obviously 3 years later, things have moved on. Ken, Abby's 3 years older, but I've been through a lot of stuff, Ken. So now I'm getting, I became a micro-influencer. So now I'm flicking through Instagram. I think I've seen about 75% of every pizza that Big Mannys has ever seen. Every dog that's ever been washed in Monkey Maggie's, where I did a video for them and that. But now I'm getting Ken, the young loons that were like on the BMX is crap now, by the way. BMX is out, right? Smoking big spliffs at Fran's Mick. That's it. I want to like beat that tune their faces off and that, so that's what I'm seeing now. But the lassies, the young quines, right? So they've gone for that and with a flash, to more like this now. Or there's another thing that there's have you seen the bikini bottoms, by the way? Abby's wearing, they're like a bottom of a mankini. You seen it? I mean, so the mirror's that way, the camera's that way. So that's what I'm seeing. And Ken, what that means to my life, right, is I'm innocently flicking through my Instagram, Ken, looking for the Don's line up on a Saturday afternoon or something, and the missus is never far away, right? Well, by the way, I didn't know how this was going to translate to the stage of Aiberdeen Mannie thing, but I did have a fair idea of the missus thought, because she's got 3 volleys a night, hasn't eaten for about 2 days. So. Cheers for your support, love. Anyway, what was I saying about that? What was I going to do again? Aye, she's never far away, so I'm flicking through my Instagram, and I accidentally just land on Nina D. Yeah? She's like, fuzz up! You're looking up! I don't care. I was looking for the BMX videos, Ken. And she grabs the phone off me and she's like, Fuzz, it's VD. And I'm like, oh, actually, Ken, what is it? Ken, it's Holly Miller. Ken, she was in the Reggie, Mrs. Thompson's Reggie class with Robbie and Sue and that, Ken at Westhill Academy 3 years ago. She's grown up new, like. So, Ken, and the thing is, I kind of unfollow Pierre Lassie because, Ken, I don't want to break her heart. I could, Ken, seriously damage her site. I don't care if they get an alert that says, Aiberdeen Mannie's unfollowed you. How could that be to somebody? And that would be, I'm a modern Mannie, that would be sexist. Unfollow up. So I'm still following Abdi, getting out of the Big Mannys and generally Instagram is a massive load of fun. I really enjoy it. Twitter, on the other hand, right? So I didn't kind of want to book Twitter. So I just went on to Instagram. That's fit my brother's loon tell me to do for the kind of far the money's out, right? Twitter. But anyway, my brother's Loon, I'm a nephew, he set me up, he taught me through how to search for Aiberdeen Mannie on Twitter. You get into Bing, right? Into Bing, and you type in Twitter, and then Aiberdeen Mannie in kind of brackets, and you need a login and that. But anyway, so I did that, so that was only a couple of months ago, so I had about 3 years worth of Aiberdeen Mannie chat to gain through on Twitter, which is a different place than Instagram. So anyway, some of my favourite eans, een of them being get Aiberdeen Mannie on Love Island. With the valleys, the missus would probably sign off on that and be free, Aiberdeen Mannie, that's cool. About 400 folk going, I Instagram, Aiberdeen Mannie here. And then other pals chiming in kind of, I thought I knew and fixing the fridge for later fashion and all that. That's cool. And in November 2019, one of my favourite eens, for this young quine, right? Not that young. All enough, right? An all enough quine. What did she say? Is it just me, or is Aiberdeen Mannie a hottie? So, first of all, there's a lot of comments about it, kind of, I think our loons in there going, if you want to book in, he's into the muscle loons, he's like, get here, keep red. It's not my fault you're missing something my hottie, mate. So, basically though, folk go, nah, Aiberdeen Mannie's not a hottie, right? So anyway, 3 hours later on the same day, same lassie puts up a poll we can vote on. Is Aiberdeen Mannie a hottie? So, right, this was pre-beard, when I had short back insides, kind of Peaky Blinders for key and doing a hard grind. I've got a thin lip, see, that's it for the microphone, right? So, 58 percentage-wise, so 34 votes it got, right? 34 votes, so it's a fair representation of the world. So, what percentage hottie do you reckon now? 100, 110, 99. You can't get 99% of 34 folk. Yeah, think about it. No, it was, I didn't get the demographics, just abdy. Could be men, women, children, probably. Yeah. Anyway, is Aiberdeen Mannie a hottie? 47.1% said yes. Which means 52.9% of folk said no, not a hottie at all. And I didn't even ask for that, Ken. I never asked, only me if I'm a hottie. Why do you have to suffer that indignity? Well, anyway, that's what it's like in the public eye, Ken. But anyway, that's us on Twitter, right? So mainly positive things on Twitter and that, right? And then I find for 3 months ago, something that's not positive at all, right? So we've got a car, for GDPR purposes, we've got a car Tosh 1982, right? Just a different name, Ken it is, if they got to tell you. So that one I'm murdered, right? So we've got a Tosh 1982. So what does she say? She says, at the risk of sounding like a complete cow, so you can't just make it say, puppies are cute, Ken. At the risk of sounding like a complete cow, surely to fuck. And that's a quote, right? Aiberdeen Mannie does this swear, that's a direct quote. Surely to fuck, I can't be the only een. She didn't even say een, she writes it in English, right? She's even at crossroads, right? Surely to fuck, I can't be the only one that finds Aiberdeen Mannie so fucking annoying. Not just annoying, so fucking annoying. And the funny, Ken, Tosh 1982. Anyway, the thing is, she's nae, the only thing that finds Aiberdeen Mannie so fucking annoying at all, right? I've got some good examples of that. So first of all, there's Aiberdeen Mannie. I find Aiberdeen Mannie so fucking annoying sometimes, right? Because what you see is the finished article, right? You see, it fits in the fridge video, Ken, it's slick. I think you'll agree, right? Ken, just Ken's like it's meant to. Again, sometimes it's nae first cocks, right? Sometimes it's a struggle, right? So, fitting from a fits in the fridge. So a bit of Moby in the fridge, it's open the fridge and it's kind of falling out that way, right? And there's probably technically an easier way to do this. I like to start the video with darkness and then open it up, so I could probably edit it. If it is, I put my finger in on the record button and then try and close the fridge door as quick as I can, and then open it again and go, I ain't sticking on. Aiberdeen Mannie here. It's in the fridge today, right? So yeah, and then I'm trying to get again an Aljan of beetroot, something funny to say about that, right? And a note in Moby or fuzz and flare, need to start again, right? So same procedure. I Instagram, Aiberdeen Mannie here. What's in the fridge today? Well, we've got some obbies, right? Mrs. likes a fancy solid, so we've got some obbies. And I can't remember if I was going to say about obbies. Crap! So, back to your drawing board, right? I Instagram, Aiberdeen Mannie here. What's in the fridge today? We've got some obbies, right? And then the missus comes through, right? Guess what you should say, guess what you should eat. Because she hasn't realised I've started recording again. Fish in a deed. She's been eating that all day and now. She's like, guess what you should eat tonight? Guess what you should eat, Aiberdeen Mannie. That's what she tells me. Guess what you should eat tonight? She come into the car wash song by Rose Rouse. I've already planned on, I've 4 or 5 jokes to her a day. It's not planned to, well, get to the next one, right? Only why I'm distracting myself. What was this picking to do? Fits in the fridge. Aye, I'm in the middle of fits in the fridge. It's so painful. I'm trying to avoid it, right? So anyway, fix should I say, right, aye, come back to the bedroom, please. Hi, Instagram, Aiberdeen Mannie here! Fits in the fridge today! Obbies, bloody obbies! And it gets on and on like that until I get right to the point where I can't stand the sound of my own voice in the car, right? So there's Tosh 1982, Aiberdeen Mannie, Julia, right, that's my neighbour, my former neighbour, I should say. So Julia, she laid upstairs for us. And while this fits in the fridge is going on, top 13 or whatever, she's had a tough day at work. She's in a body, and obviously it's a hot day, the windows open. She's just trying to relax and just listen to birds and that she can hear us. Hi, Instagram, Aiberdeen Mannie here! Fits in the fridge and they fucking dropped it. So that's three folk that kind of that find Aiberdeen Mannie so fucking annoying, right? And every time I say fuck, I'm quoting Tosh 1982. So anyway, that was Tosh 1982. So at risk of sounding like a complete cow, surely to fuck, I'm near the only team that finds Aiberdeen Mannie so fucking annoying. So how many? This is Twitter, right? For 52.9% of folk didn't even think I'm a hottie, right? So how many likes do you reckon I got, or Tosh 1982 got on that? 5? 100,000? 0? Absolutely 0, that's right. Leave it to her. So surely if you fuck your arm over here that finds Aiberdeen Mannie so fucking annoying, you complete cow. So anyway, that was Twitter. Back to Instagram, which is I was a bit more positive again. So I've only ever blocked Ian Loon from my Instagram account. So it started off like most of my Instagram relationships, the GOAT, legend, Aiberdeen Mannie, it's in the fridge and all that, he's a follow up the Dons, okay? That went on for a couple of days, right? One morning I walking up, message to a boy, Cam Reese, it could be in his name, because a lot of young dudes called Reese now. And it was just a big picture of a big jobby, right? A big curled up poop. So he blocked the lobby, I blocked him. I wasn't up for that, right? But the funny thing is, meeting folk, right? Meeting folk out and about. Like, I don't have kind of comedians kind of thing that you do, but I've nicked this bitty, right? Billy Connolly, I read it in his book last night. He realised that you can give somebody quite a fright when you're famous. I'm not going to say famous. I'm not saying I'm Billy Connolly, right? But when you're recognisable, you can give somebody a fright. I get an app. I walked past Connor Barron, he's a Dons player, right? I walked past him on Rosemount the other day and I'm like, Connor Barron! And he did the same thing to me. He's like, Aiberdeen Mannie! I'm not sure if he did, I think he was just like, what's this weird guy going, but you can keep folk a fright and you can kind of set them off their stop a bit, they get a bit nervous. So when I meet folk, quite a lot of them, they're big Mannie fannies, right? And they're, so they're like, Aiberdeen Mannie, I can't believe I've met you! I can't believe I've met you! And I'm like, hi, I'm Aiberdeen Mannie, right? It's 2:45 on a Saturday afternoon. The Dons are at home. We're standing on King Street. What else do you think I'm gonna be? I can't believe I met you! Or it's standing in the Abbey aisle at Lidl's, kind of feeling up our hobbies, and Aiberdeen Mannie, I can't believe you're here! I was here just at the same time, man. But anyway, there's something that Aiberdeen brings you down to earth, right? We are the kind of hilaric in that. About 90% of the time when I meet an Aiberdeen Mannie funny, there always be somebody that is either near an Aiberdeen Mannie funny, like Tosh 1982 or Julia, right? Or somebody that's got no idea what Aiberdeen Mannie is, right? Cave dwellers, I call that one, right? So cave dwellers are like, and it's difficult to spot them because I get excited by meeting Aiberdeen Mannie funnies and I'm like, I can't Aiberdeen Mannie, jeez! It's difficult to recognise things that follow you or they're just kind of hanging back. So sometimes I'm like, aye, are you wanting in for a selfie? Aye, you wanting in for a selfie? And they're like, what are you like? That just brings you right to a level, right? So, what was I going to say about that, Jamie? Did I make you the script in advance? Huh? I thought I'd emailed it through to you. It's coming, it's coming. So, anyway, Aiberdeen Mannie, funnies. Aye, the folk that didn't like Aiberdeen Mannie, or that kind of far around, they're just like, do a selfie, they're like, nah, that kind of far yarn. Sometimes they get inquisitive, they're like, why is their pal gonna read it in ease? And I'm like, oh, Aiberdeen, what is this? Another pal says, it's Aiberdeen Mannie! It's Aiberdeen Mannie! And I'm a bit shy in that, and so some of them are inquisitive, I'm like, so, what do you do? I'm like, well, I'm just a Mannie from Aiberdeen on Instagram, like, fixing your itch and like, what are you in and kind of, like, where to get your fashion and all. But only why, right, I'll leave you in a minute, but one more story. And this story was actually meant to come after the last Joby story, because there was meant to be like a how comedians link bitties together, speaking of Jobbies. So I've completely arsed it up, but imagine if I'd done the first Joby story after the last story, right? And now I'm moving into this one and I'm saying, speaking of Jobbies, right? So about a year ago, 2 in the morning on a Friday, or Saturday morning after a Friday night, I'm in the scratcher, snoozing away. The missus, we are supersonic hearing, hears Coops, that's my dog, right? Coops, scratching at the door. He's eating some shite in the lane. His name ain't me, he's got a dicky dum-dum, Ken. His name will attack. So the missus doesn't attack him on that occasion, that's an Aiberdeen Mannie jobby. So get Coops out, so I'm in my jammies, Ken. I think I threw a t-shirt on, my Crocs, they're not even real Crocs, mock Crocs, from Tesco or something like that. Right, more Coops, he's getting bursting and that. We get to the top of the street. If you're a door goer, you might see this sometimes. First team's solid, second team's just like an explosion over it, right? So there's something to clear up. It's absolutely reeking, he's no real attack. There's enough substance to get a baggie out and kind of try and get as much up. You're hoping for rain. You're hoping for rain at this point for Abdi, right? So, scooping up the poop, and I'm like, it's absolutely stinking. I just want to be back to sleep. It's horrible. I hate it. I wish the missus would do this. And I just hear this 40 yards away. Right? There was a har coming in. Some of the street lights were out, but 40 yards away. That's Aiberdeen Mannie Coops. So where they come? So Jill and Scott, right? I asked them to come down tonight, but they're too embarrassed. They sent me the selfie that they took though, but they're coming. They're pissed. They've been out all day, right? Aiberdeen Mannie. I'm getting tell Abdi and their whole family that likes Aiberdeen Mannie. My daughter's really in Aiberdeen Mannie, and so is his cousin, my nephew, and I'm like, okay, cool, hi. So we're chatting a lot, which I really enjoy, kind of get to ken people and that. And they're like, oh, we couldn't get a selfie, you know. And if they top up, my micro-influencers, like hanging out my jammy trousers. And so I'm like, I top up, and I've still got this bag of shite and stinking, and I'm like, aye, okay, so I always do this for some reason. Even when I've got a bag of shite in my home. So, photo, right, cheerio, nice to meet you again, I'll see you about and that. Right, get Coops home. Weak wipe on the bum, because he sleeps in the bed with us. That's extraneous information, actually. Scratch up. So, in bed, can't get back to sleep, because I'm just lying there worrying. I'm just thinking of that Jill and Scott. They're walking up the next day, afternoon, basically, right? They're flicking through their photos in their movie. They're like, we went to Exodus last night? Oh, jeez. We met Aiberdeen Mannie last night. Is it just me, or was he absolutely reeking of shit? Okay, cheers, everybody. That's our talk here. Thanks for coming in.